Matt's leg space here, telling you to get along to CyberCon, a virtual convention presented by the Scarefest. Join me here in cyberspace for CyberCon on August 29, where there will be a celebrity guest, special guest speakers, vendors, and panels, and more. Tickets on sale now at scarefest.artfarm.tv. Be there or be square.
The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
What, did you think he was going to hack me up into little pieces or something?
And hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Scarefest Television, a very special night as I am joined by not one, but two lovely ladies. Let's just start off and say, hey, Cece, how you doing? And, of course, the lovely and talented Catherine Corcoran. Everybody, of course, I've got to do my whole commercial spiel now. CyberCon, coming up August 29th. Go ahead and get your tickets. By the way, if you're confused, you go to thescarefest.com, click the CyberCon link. From there, that will there's a link to say get your damn tickets or whatever. You go in, you create an account first. It'll say get tickets. You go in, it makes you create an account. That's the way the internet works. Sorry, we don't want your money unless we know who you are. Get your tickets, and then you're ready to go. We have celebrities, we have some good vendors. This is, of course, our beta test for many, many future projects. Find them on Facebook. Go to the CyberCon, Scarefest CyberCon page on Facebook, because there you will find details on their art contest, their poster contest. And also, if the deadline hadn't passed, they're looking for some cosplay contributors, meaning if you will take, get some photos of yourself in cosplay, or do a little short video. We've got somebody working up something to include in the, I'm going to start calling it the main stage. Sounds a little stripperish, but that's what I'll be broadcasting all day during this thing, while, and then you can go get autographs, you can go shopping, all that good stuff. But August 29th and August 28th, I'll be on location, because that's how you do a virtual convention. You actually go somewhere and you do it on location, because that's who we are. Okay. The spiel's out of the way. Hi, Catherine. Oh, and Cece said I should. Wasn't my idea. Catherine, okay, first of all, I gotta say, now I absolutely love Terrifier. I have to ask the standard questions. I'm sure you've gotten a lot. When they brought this script to you, or when you got a hold of this script, and they said, oh, by the way, we need you to do a upside-down kill scene in the nude. How does a director or producer or whoever brings that to you, how do they sell that?
Like I think we were talking about a little bit before we cut out, a lot of breakdowns already list what the requirements are loosely. So they'll say, especially with horror films, if it requires nudity or there's inherently violence and things like that. But I was about 24 maybe at the time, and I was in between agents, so I went myself, which is kind of That usually doesn't happen. And I went in for the audition, and they gave me the script ahead of time, so I kind of knew, what I was going in for, but didn't expect to book the job necessarily. And then when I did, it was like, oh, okay, so we have to have a real talk about this. And Damien, our director, was really, really wonderful. He drove to my neighborhood at a place of my choosing. And we, had coffee, and he kind of talked me through what he was trying to do and some of his background. And he said, if we pull this off, this will be the first time that he knows of in horror movie history a stunt like this has ever really been attempted. And I was down. So he was really respectful about the entire thing, and wanted to make sure I was comfortable every step of the way. So I decided to do it. And to this day, the guys in that team are super, super wonderful. They're really really sweet and very protective of the ladies that were involved. And I think that was the big seller, was the level of mutual respect for us that kind of sold me on the role.
Absolutely fantastic. Cece, over to you.
I love it. The scene was amazing and captivating, and I know I was sitting there with my jaw open like, oh my gosh, how is this even happening? But tell me, how was it? I mean, I know with movies, they have to do takes over and over. How long were you suspended by your ankles, and how did they do that? Was it very uncomfortable for you?
So typically with a stunt like that, there is a rig, so you can flip up and down. Because it was so, we were doing it really tight budget-wise, and we didn't have, the following that Terrifier has now. We kind of had to work with everyone's level of comfortability. We didn't have a rig, so I don't recommend trying it in the future. But so I do have a bit of a stunt background. So does Jenna, who plays Tara in the film. Mm-hmm. And so we got there, and what we would do is I was actually hanging by my ankles, which is kind of dangerous. Again, don't recommend trying it at home.
Sure.
You can only be upside down for 30 to 40 seconds without risking serious brain damage. So what we would do is I would be upside down on my ankle, by my ankles, and we would do the take. There was a cart underneath me that was kind of that I would lay on, and then they'd roll the cart out. I'd kind of do a reverse crunch down. We would start a timer for about 25 seconds and get the take, and then I'd do basically a crunch back up. They would lift me. I'd be back on my back on the roller, and that's how we did it. It was really cold. It was in January, and it was the location was a hospital that was no longer in use on Staten Island, so it was very, very, very cold. They would put blankets on, but after a certain point, once you have fake blood on you, it becomes just wet on wet. And so we got it done, and then the close-ups, I'm actually just on a table, and I'm hanging upside down and holding myself. So it's not my full body, it's just like my head kind of, as if you're like hanging outside of your bed or something like that. And we thought everything was pretty solid. The funny part in the story that we started telling at conventions, which is kind of funny, is that I did get a little sick afterwards, which I kind of expected. I've done a couple of horror films. It's the winter time, it gets cold, you're screaming a lot, even if you're using your diaphragm, like you've been trained, things just happen, and you're tired, they're overnights. So I went to my doctor, though, because I wasn't really getting any better, and I was kind of dizzy, and I was like, oh, this is not normal. And so I go, and my doctor's like, well, you have strep throat, which I kind of thought I had. And then he said, but I have to ask, do you do like gymnastics? Do you like swim? And I said no, but I explained to him what I had just done. And he said, okay, so yes and no. You you can't be upside down for more than 30 to 40 seconds, which is correct. But because you didn't stand back up and you did so many takes, the blood has actually kind of pooled in your body, and there was a little bit of swelling in your cranium, which went back down. But you have an ear infection as a result, and your eardrum is not in place. So we have to give you medication and come back and make sure it was and they had to do a little procedure to adjust it. But other than that, so again, don't recommend trying it at home. Really proud of it. Really glad we got the shot. Not something I would recommend anybody do.
It was amazing. No wonder your abs look so great. And I didn't know you had a stunt background. Tell us a little bit about your stunt background.
I think I just trained in it. I'm theatrically trained, and I've been doing this since I was a little girl. So that was just kind of part of I wanted to be as well versed as I possibly could. And so when I was younger, I would take classes on the weekends all day. The mornings would be like technical things, everything like a basic Meisner training, and then the afternoons would be special skills. So we learned everything from teleprompters to stunts to stage combat. And then when I was a little older, I trained at Lee Strasberg, and they cover that as well, like a movement kind of training. And then in college, I majored in it as well. So it's like part of my training. And Jenna is even beyond what I have. She's also like a Krav Maga fighter, so she's even way more badass than I would ever hope to be. But yeah, a little bit. I think it's important to try to be as well versed in every aspect of the medium as you can. If as a creative and artist.
Absolutely. And there was quite a height difference between you two. Can I ask how tall you are? You look just stunning. When you walked onto the scene in the movie, it was like, wow.
Oh, thank you. Well, they did give me really great shoes, I will say. The things cleared a couple of leaves and things when we were walking, but I'm 5'6.5".
You are? Okay, you appeared much taller in the
It was the shoes. Jenna, I think, had combat boots on, and they gave me 5-inch heels, which was fine, but it does make me look a lot taller. I don't know how tall Jenna is. She is shorter than I am. We are friends now in real life, and we do hang out outside of the film, but I don't know what her actual height is.
That's amazing. Wes, back to you.
Let's go ahead and get on track now. Let's go ahead and get our first commercial break in and get this mess cleaned up that I've created. We'll be right back, everybody, with more from Catherine Corcoran.
Mama Ruby offers fun vendor-based events that focus primarily on the metaphysical and spiritual aspects of our lives. Well, 2020 didn't go as planned, to say the least. Since Mama Ruby's can't bring the vendors to you in person, they still encourage you to support them online. For links to these and other outstanding artists, craftspeople, vendors, and psychics, visit mamarubies.com and click shop.
Hey there, how's it going, Scarefest fans? Glenn here from fakeshemp.net, and how you all doing? I hope you're doing well in these crazy times, and I say that with a smirk on my face because I bring to you a film that's not going to help your anxiety at all. In fact, if you're struggling through these, let's face it, awful times, this film might be a bit much. But I'm sorry. For the rest of you, this one is absolutely awesome. All right, so once again, I'm presenting you with a film that isn't specifically horror, but it is most definitely horrific, and it occupies those ambiguous fringes of the horror genre, so I think it qualifies for Scarefest television. It's called These Final Hours, and it's absolutely stunning, and I'm going to tell you right now that it is on Amazon Prime, Hoopla, Tubi, and YouTube in America, And I'm telling you this because you should do yourself the favour and watch it immediately after Scarefest Television finishes. The film begins in the Western Australian city of Perth, and it begins 10 minutes after a giant asteroid hit the Northern Hemisphere. Yeah, I'm sorry to say that means you guys. What that means for us here in Australia is that we've only got 12 hours left before the entire country is wiped out by a giant firestorm and joins the rest of the world in oblivion. It is really heavy stuff, and the film is just harrowing. It stars Nathan Phillips, who is a face you might recognise from Wolf Creek and a bunch of other films, both Aussie and American, and he plays a guy who has no intention of wasting a single minute of his final hours on Earth, and he sets out to reach a massive end-of-the-world party where everybody plans on disgracing themselves into annihilation. What the trailer doesn't show you all that much of is that his car gets stolen, and then he comes across two men who've kidnapped a young girl and plan to rape her in their final hours. Very, very heavy stuff, I know. But our main character saves her and lets her tag along with him, so it's all good on that front. As they travel, at first, she proves to be a fly in his ointment when all he wants to do is party, but before long she does convince him to look for her dad so that she can be with him in the end, and suddenly this guy's personal quest becomes much more of a gallant and noble cause. But that's really all I'm going to tell you about the film, because there is so much great stuff to discover for yourself. It's an absolutely stunning film that is shot so beautifully. Western Australia is the sunburnt side of the country, isolated all the way over there on the western coast, and that is captured so effectively with this amazing cinematography, so it's just delightful to look at. But those who are easily offended might want to pass on this one, because the film is full of debauchery. I mean, honestly, imagine the things that people would do knowing that there are no longer consequences. Yep, suffice to say the film is full of sex, drugs, violence, and shameless debauchery. But that kind of makes it all the more powerful. The director of the film is a guy called Zach Hilditch, and he's since gone on to work in America, having since made films like Stephen King's 1922 and the new Netflix release Rattlesnake. And yeah, if you recognise the little girl in the trailer, well, that's Anne Gowrie Rice, who has since gone on to become a Hollywood actress herself. Anyway, this is excellent stuff. In fact, it's not all that unlike Cargo, which was a film I presented a few weeks ago. It's got that moral ambiguity that's smothered all across the screen, and the film leaves you with so many mixed emotions. It's like being sucker punched in the gut, really, but it is also invigorating and fantastic. Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie, it's a really powerful film, and just watching the trailer alone screws me up. I've seen the film several times, and if that trailer had any effect on you whatsoever, you didn't even get to hear it. Well, if you were affected by it, then the film is going to do a number on you. You're going to need a stiff drink. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to catch my podcast every week. Good Movie Monday drops every Sunday in America because of that crazy time difference. And last week I had Mick Garris, Hollywood heavyweight, on the show, and it's a really cool interview, so go back and have a listen to that. And then don't forget Scarefest Reanimated. That's every Wednesday night your time, and we're counting down the days until CyberCon, and it's just about here. So until next week, have a good one. Hope you recover from that film. Hope you come from the trailer. Ciao.
And welcome back, everybody. You can unmute her now.
Okay.
Two girls in the background the whole time during the commercial. It's just incredible. Anyway, everybody, we're back with more Scarefest Television and our special guest, Catherine Corcoran, tonight. Hopefully all of the technical issues are now worked out. Of course, everyone, she will be on camera and in the chat room for Scarefest CyberCon. And now, your resume, you've done several horror type things, several thrillers. I'll talk about one or two of them here in a minute. Do you consider yourself a scream queen yet?
I don't think that is my title to bestow on myself. I think that is kind of up to the genre fans. But I will say that, so I kind of defer to them. While I love the idea of royalty, I kind of defer to them on that one.
I'll just say that what I have seen so far, I think you have a very unique look. You are beautiful and sexy with that, and you maintain that girl next door aura. Even when you were acting slutty in Terrifier, you had that girl next door feel, and I think that will serve you quite well.
Thanks. I mean, I don't know. I think being an actor is being a chameleon, right? So it's your job to kind of understand different people's existence and where they are in their life. So I hope I come off just as myself, and then I get the opportunity to play a variety of characters. Hopefully ones that are defined by a multitude of things.
Well, let's look at your resume. You've covered quite the gamut already. At the tender age of 21, you were in Nukem High. Return to Nukem High.
When we shot that.
You were 19?
No, maybe 20, 21. I was 20 when it premiered in Cannes, and then I think, still 20 when it, maybe 21 when it premiered in the U.S.
Yeah, that's what it would have been. Yeah, I just go by IMDb. I don't actually research any of this.
No, it's okay.
But look, yeah, I mean, you somehow managed to play the rich girl next door. I mean, it was beautiful. Although, well, now that I know that you were only 19 when it was filmed, I really feel guilty about even watching certain scenes in that movie. But we'll move on from there. But now, okay, I wanted to talk about Long Lost. That is one of your newer ones that's out. You made the cover, so that shows how important you were to the movie. Everybody, this is a great movie. Most awkward dinner scene I've ever seen in a movie.
What you're going for?
The kill scene, okay, just another kill. But I have to say that it's I guess would you call that a psychological thriller? Is that? I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the genre it falls into. We were just talking about that off camera. I don't know where to place it. A lot of times I think people don't know where to place it because you expect it to kind of have this horror vibe, but it's definitely a psychological thriller. I did a really fun interview. We were promoting it, and we went through my favorite erotic thrillers of all time. And so I think it kind of falls into that category as well. It has like a very, sleeping with the enemy, very wild things kind of vibe to it.
I would say that the reason it borders on horror is because of the way it's filmed and the way it's acted and the way it's written. At any moment, you're waiting for Jason or somebody to show up. You're waiting for that horror element. Mm-hmm. It teases that all the way through the movie.
Right.
And then I loved your character because, Cece, I was telling you before, complete surprise ending. You will not see it coming.
I can't wait.
Now, we're going to go softball, and then I'll toss it back to Cece.
Okay.
How have you spent this horrendous lockdown?
Well, I think we talked about it off camera, but my family is in Pennsylvania, so I kind of decided to use a lot of this time to spend time with them, and as much kind of by the water and in nature as possible, because a lot of my life is going from wherever we're filming, and then I have traveled to LA a lot, but I also have an apartment in New York, so it's very much like city living. So to be like enjoying nature as much as I could while distancing and being safe and healthy was kind of my goal. But I have been working on some stuff, which is really, really fun, and working on a personal project. So yeah, I kind of just used the time to recenter and like refocus. And as awful as things are in the world, it gave me a lot of clarity and perspective. And for a while, I was doing reading with some of my like horror alum. Late night, we raised I think it was $14,000 for collectively for a few different charities to benefit COVID relief. So we came together and did that. And now that this is going on a little bit longer than to expected, how do we kind of still benefit each other while also, moving forward collectively. So that's kind of what I was doing.
Much more productive with your free time than I've been. CC, over to you.
And Scream Queen, I think you're definitely up there. We know you're a Tromette. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Tromette is the word, yeah.
Definitely a Tromette. So during this COVID, you probably had some downtime where you could actually sit and watch some movies as well. So what are your kind of choices, go-tos, when you are looking for something entertaining, and why?
I fall on two ends of the spectrum. The first is working in the industry. I always have like a running list of things I want to watch and professionals whose work I really want to see, and friends whose work I want to see. So there's always that. And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum where because I work in the industry, I just want to turn off. So there's like whatever is like silly and like reality kind of like mind numbing, I just like gravitate to. I'm a huge like Real Housewives Beverly Hills dance moms person. Like I can like feel the liquid in my brain starting to ooze out my ear. I feel like it's a good thing. As far as like actual film and television though, during quarantine I got into Succession, which I love. I loved Little Fires Everywhere. I thought that was fantastic. I thought Kerry Washington, Reese Witherspoon were like really dynamic characters and such an amazing commentary on race, culture, and women. Epic, beautiful. I watched, in the spirit of education, I rewatched When They See Us, which I'd already watched when they originally came out, but I highly recommend that if anyone's at home right now and looking to kind of educate themselves on what's going on politically, that is that, and 13, that's the documentary that came out in 2016. Killer, amazing pieces, just unbelievable performances and knowledge. By Ava DuVernay, who's a female director and an incredible. What else did I watch that I loved? I just started Sharp Objects, so the jury's out on that. That's like a horror psychological thriller. So jury's out. I'll let you guys know how I feel about that when I finish it. I also watched The Great, which with Elle Fanning, which was hilarious. I actually that had mixed reviews from a lot of people, but I loved it. I thought it was so funny. So, I think I kind of covered the gamut, like genre-wise.
Yeah, it's all over the place. That's great.
Yeah, I really for me, I'm drawn to, dynamic female characters naturally as a woman in the industry, but I'm also just drawn to stories that really challenge narratives and experiment and do things that are different. So, I mean, it's like when you watch a film with me, it's like watching a sporting event. Like, oh my God, did you see the control in their face right there? Or that was a weird cut. It really is so that's why it goes back and forth between that and anything I don't really have to focus on.
And what has been your favorite role that you've played so far?
So far, that's tough. I mean, I think my favorite role was Abby in Long Lost. I think that that was the first time anyone's really ever given me the opportunity to play such a layered character. And I think Eric and Carson Blomquist did an amazing job writing her and really thinking about those nuances. And I think they have another horror film that just came out, which I'm really excited to see, called 10 Minutes to Midnight, that also kind of talks about women and age in genre and relevance. It has Caroline Williams as the lead. And so I think that film, that role was just such a fun role to embody. And I learned so much about myself as an actor and about and I kind of took some of Abby with me in like it's just kind of weird to say if you know the film, but in fun power dynamic ways, which I just love. So yeah, I would work with them on any character they'd write for me in a heartbeat.
That's wonderful. And Wes, I'm sure you would agree from that movie, she looks amazing in that bathing suit scene.
Oh, yeah, that was before I was vegan, so it was a different, really a different body for sure.
Yeah, now see, y'all just getting me all upset. Let's go ahead and take a commercial break, damn it, while I'm all flustered. Everybody, we'll be right back with more Scarefest Television and our special guest, Catherine Corcoran.
Everyone is talking about CBD oil, and it seems like almost everyone is using it. The research is ongoing, but the apparent health benefits are overwhelming. If you're going to use CBD products, though, what brand should you buy? First, find out where the hemp was grown. Imports are flooding the market. How potent is it? Look for a brand that plainly states its concentration on the label. And look for full spectrum CBD. This means the oil contains CBD and all the other cannabinoids, terpenes, and nutrients that are found in the entire cannabis plant. Look for Blue Leaf CBD oil. Blue Leaf Naturals is a Kentucky proud company. They use only Kentucky-grown hemp, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses. Visit their website at blueleafcbd.com now and use the code SMILE at checkout for free shipping.
Horror. Movie. Fans. 4. Life. Find us. 4 News. 4 Memes. 4 Life.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Horror, sci-fi, and drama merge perfectly this week in movie history back in 1986 with the release of The Fly. Jeff Goldblum plays a scientist who creates a teleportation device and decides to test it on himself. After successfully transporting himself, his DNA begins to merge with that of a fly that had, unbeknownst to him, gotten into the teleportation device as he teleported. Gina Davis plays his girlfriend, who becomes horrified as her love slowly turns into an unrecognizable monster. When the film was released, it was met with massive praise. Audiences and critics praised the film's special effects and Goldblum's performance. Horror and comedy once again came together perfectly back in 1985 with the release of Return of the Living Dead. An irresponsible warehouse manager accidentally releases a chemical that brings the dead back to life, and he and his band of misfit friends must try to survive the corresponding onslaught of brain-eating zombies. This punk take on the zombie genre fuses the perfect amount of 80s humor with flesh-eating zombies, and the audiences ate it up. Return of the Living Dead is the first zombie film to introduce audiences to a new wave of zombies that ate brains instead of just flesh, couldn't be killed with a headshot, as well as zombies who run. The film quickly became a cult classic and spawned its own film series with 4 sequels, although Return of the Living Dead remains the most popular in the series.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Television. Keeping the wife busy on the mute button tonight. I feel like I'm talking to you more than I'm actually asking questions, Catherine. I wanted to say that I like that you picked that as your favorite role, Abby in Long Lost. And the reason I almost used a quote from that movie where I did the little intro at the beginning where it's at, with our trailer there, because the at the end of the movie, when something about what else are you going to do with a degree, and I'm not even going to tell. I would spoil it if I told everybody what the degree was. But I said it's too obscure. People might not have seen it yet. Everybody, watch Long Lost. It's on Amazon Prime. Well worth your time. Now, when you watch, you had a very good handle on that. That's why I actually told that story. After you do a project and it's all on the cutting room floor and it's ready to go out to the film festivals and into the movies, when you watch yourself on screen, how critical are you of yourself?
Oh my gosh, so critical. I hate watching myself. Actually, when we do screenings, I'll watch it through once, usually the first time. And sometimes, depending on the venue, I'll like to see the audience, hear the audience's response to things. But after a while, I leave in the middle. Usually on premieres or festivals, you do the intro, they bring you up, or you sit and the director does his thing, and then you do your Q&A after. I'll leave in the middle because I hate watching. I'm so critical of myself. I just don't like to watch it. So I'll leave. Yeah, it's not that I'm not proud of the project and that I'm not excited for everyone to see it. I'll just nitpick myself to pieces, so I have to remove myself.
Now I will say to you, and I'm just being totally too complimentary. I can't imagine you doing the Terrifier part any better than you did. I mean, it's just, the part, there's only so much you can do with it. And I thought you did it. The Abby part. Now here's a confession. When I first started watching the movie and your character came on, I'm thinking, okay, this is a kind of a walkthrough for her. The onion layers didn't come until much later in the movie. Mm-hmm. And so so in other words, I once again, I'm paying you a very big compliment. The fact that I did not expect anything based on your first 10 minutes in the movie, and then the character and your acting came out so well. I just want to say that shows that you got some chops. Now,
thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. You are in what most actresses would call now the prime of your career.
Oh.
Well, I mean, based on your age. I mean, you just did an iconic role. You're not going to play I don't see you playing a whole lot of, what was that one, murder victim. By the way, though, she played it twice, so she must have been pretty good at it. I realize COVID kind of creates a handicap, if you will, but since Terrifier came out in particular, and you caught everyone's attention, at least in our genre, have the quality of the roles that you've been approached about, have you noticed a spike in the quality of them?
That's interesting. I think I've been really lucky in that a lot of the roles that I've been, and the productions that I've been able to work on have been of, really good quality and really great teams. So I think everyone, you kind of transition and you have different layers in your career as you age, because there's just different stories to tell. I don't know, to be honest. I think I'm always looking for more dynamic roles, and I think having a little bit more of a platform has given me the opportunity to speak about what I'm looking for in characters, so naturally that starts to gravitate towards me. But I think I've just been really lucky. And, there's also, I think people underestimate how hard it is just to be a working actor. And I think so often you just kind of want to do whatever comes your way. And I'm really lucky now that I am, in more collaborations. But again, that's always been the case. I think I've always been on really collaborative teams. So yes and no. I mean, I don't know. I would hope that it will only go up from here. I think there's only stories to tell, only more stories to tell as you get older, because people have experiences their whole lives. So there should be stories inevitably, no matter how old you are. that are worth telling.
A quick follow-up to that once again makes me, it's going to make me sound a little bit like a dirty old man. The roles that I've seen of yours so far are not socially distanced. I'll put it that way. As you get back to work, I mean, I've heard the guidelines for what you all are having to do. As you get back to work, the characters the type of characters you've played so far, how do you think you'll be able to shine as well without that? I'll use the word intimacy, but I realize you're not intimate.
Okay, that's actually a really interesting point. While I've done a bit of nudity, I haven't really shied away from that in my career. I've only actually done 2 sex scenes. And only had 3 on-screen kisses. 2 were in Long Lost, and 1 was in Return to Nukem High. So
I watched every movie that she kissed somebody. Okay.
I mean, that's actually not the bulk of my work, interestingly. And I mean, it's 2 very...
That's why I was afraid I would come across as a dirty old man. I really didn't mean it based just on your nudity and that. I just meant everything I've seen of you so far is in some way... I probably should have used the word intimacy, intimate. At the beginning of Terrifier, your friend and you were walking down the street. It was very, very convincing that you 2 were close. In other words, I don't see you shying away from being in somebody's business.
Yeah, well, I think, just like in everyday life, you act the way you would with normal people, right? You hug your friends, if you're like out having a good time, you lean on each other, like that's pretty normal. Most projects, people beforehand when you're blocking the scene, you're like, oh, is it okay if I, put my arm on you or I touch you? And most people are usually like, yeah, that's fine. Or some people have their limits and, you respect that. With COVID, I don't know how that's going to affect everything, to be honest with you. I know that the mandates are that everybody has to quarantine together beforehand, and get their temperature taken and things like that, and there's like a pod system. But so there's levels so that apparently like we can be close, but I don't know again how often that's going to be. I know that scenes with a lot of extras are really kind of being cut. I am shooting something right now that's completely virtual. And when we will go into production where we'll have to have us in the same space, we're putting together regulations so that we'll all be 6 feet apart, at least, with the exception of like hair and makeup, which are operating under the normal, union COVID guidelines. And then the other thing that I actually am shooting in a week, I don't think anybody has to be, it's very meta. The scene is a filmmaker shooting my character, so there's space. And it is a horror scene, or an homage to a horror scene, which will actually happen, it's kind of funny, the morning of Scarefest. So, fun fact, I will be, that morning, they're all working around the schedule. I was just talking to Chris about it, I guess you guys will find out. I'm gonna do the scene at dawn, shower, be covered in blood, shower, and get ready for you guys so that I can do Scarefest and meet everybody. Post horror bloody scene.
I would actually point out you'd probably sell more autographs with the blood. Just gonna put it out there.
I could come up bloody. We'll see. I might be like, but I don't know if I'll be very comfortable for the amount of time you guys will need, but what I will probably...
Sitting around for 8 hours and fake blood, that sounds wonderful. Cece, over to you.
Let the girl shower, Wes.
Yeah, I like a little bit pink tinted, though, just in my experience, depending on what... I'm already talking to them about what's going to be in the blood. You can use different blood for different things, different mixes, and everyone has their own, mad science thing. So we were talking about that to limit the amount of dye so that I won't be as pink for you guys.
Okay, so it's tough to get that off sometimes because your skin is gorgeous. So what you don't even look like you have a lick of makeup on.
I have a a little bit. I don't wear much makeup, to be honest, though. Yeah, it's the industry trick for blood, like red food dye and green, believe it or not, I know that from trauma, is shaving cream. There are lots of ways to get it off, but they tell you to go take a shower with shaving cream. And something in the shaving cream, it takes it out of your skin, but you are pink. Like, there's no getting around that. You are pink, and you have to, like, kind of, it takes a couple showers usually to, like, fully come off. So I'll be a little pink for you guys. Like, there's no getting around it. But I know
that Wes is picturing you in the shower, lathering up with shaving cream all over.
You're everywhere with it. It's so funny. Like, that's the trick that I know, though, just from doing it a bunch of times. That's how you do it. And then if you want to, like, moisturize, because it dries out your skin and your hair and all that good stuff. I have, like, a hair and makeup person now who I, like, go to. I'm like, okay, so what do you think I should do after I have to do this? And she's like, Jesus, okay. She's always, like, annoyed, like, what are we doing now? All right. But she's amazing. Shout out Mirna. I owe her so much. She saves me more times than she should have to anyway.
That's amazing. Now, has she been helping you with this virtual stuff too?
We've been in talks about it. We're in pre-pro right now. So, depending on where we do this, if we're going to hire her or a makeup artist to walk me through things, if they're going to be on set, obviously the ideal would be to have them there, because I'm not an expert. That's not my field. But we'll see. Again, it's all very up in the air in how we're executing things based on the policies that come out, as anyone will tell you. But things are shooting. It's just very, like, stop and go,
Well, it's very exciting to hear that even with COVID going on, you have some projects coming up, and I know you can't tell us too much about them, but that's very exciting. I'm sure all the fans can't wait to see what you're going to be in next, because every time we see you in something, you're just gorgeous and amazing. So
thank you so much. That means so much.
Absolutely. And we're coming up to the top of the hour. What is your favorite horror movie?
Oh, I get that a lot. I think it depends on, are you talking recent horror or like, there's like definitely layers to it. So I'll go, my favorite.
We'll give you top 3.
Okay. Ooh, top 3. Lost Boys. I love that film. I think that's so good. I love that period in horror, like late 80s, early 90s. It's so good. The original Buffy the Vampire Slayer film, unbelievable. I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I love vampire films, to be honest with you. I could cite like the classic, obviously like Nosferatu or something like that, but I feel like that's a given. The Birds, that's a given. I guess this first day, I'll give you those from that genre. And people argue that it's not a horror film. It definitely is, because there's witches involved. Is The Craft, which is like my other one. That's the same period. I think it's a good, like.
Love that movie. Fantastic. Great picks. Wonderful picks. And I'm sure Wes is very excited to hear that you love Vampire Hunters, because Wes has a little vampire hunting coming up under his sleeve, don't you, Wes?
You do.
Well, okay, to hog more of the show, I've started doing characters for some of my interviews. And one of the characters I have come up with is a total hillbilly Appalachian vampire hunter. He's not made his world premiere yet, but he might just make his premiere at CyberCon.
So there you go, Catherine. He's looking to suck your blood.
I'm excited. That's like one of, both The Craft and Buffy have gotten modern reboots that I was just like all over. I can't wait to see what they do with those.
That's amazing. That's going to be great. That's great. I mean, how can you even make them better? How can you?
I know. I'm like, I heard what I'm excited to do. I heard that the Craft has a trans character in it, which I'm really, really excited to see what they do with that. And the latest stuff in the Vampire Slayer is a person of color character, which I'm very excited about to see too, because there is a person of color in the series that was the Vampire Slayer, but she didn't. I think she was only for one season.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Kendra? Was she Kendra the Vampire Slayer? I can't
No,
remember.
Nice. What? 2 times or 3 times? My nerd is showing. Twice.
But she was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have Wes the Vampire.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to commercial now and get myself out of this. We'll be right back, everybody.
Can we have one more button down, Wes? One more button, please.
Oh, no, it's getting risque on your end. I'm gonna.
No, I want to keep my PG rating. If I pull out the guns, it's all over with. Go to commercial.
Spirit Mechanics is here to help. Their background includes many different specialties across the metaphysical spectrum, including alchemy, shamanism, Celtic witchcraft, angelic magic, astral travel, and more.
With over 30 years combined experience in the group, you can be confident in their ability to help. If there is a question you have that you cannot answer, they will do their best to assist you.
Metaphysics can be intimidating, confusing, and unfortunately, abused. Spirit Mechanics takes pride in being selfless in the pursuit of helping others, being humble and honest with their clients about their questions, and lastly, maintaining a professional and personable atmosphere. They want you to feel as you are coming to a close friend, and they will do everything in their power to make you comfortable and safe.
When the drum beats, we hear the call of spirit. Join Coyote Chris Sutton and Charla Hardin as they discuss the different spiritual paths with those who walk them. Monthly on ScarefestRadio.com. Watch the Scarefest Facebook page for updates.
Hey, Scarefest folk. I've been saying Scarefest fans. I thought I'd change it up a little bit. This is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly, and I have another review for you. This week's review is You Should Have Left. You should have left. You shouldn't have stayed. You should have just went out the door. Don't stay here. You should leave. You should leave. You should have left. That's the name of this movie. Didn't mean to go off on a tangent. It stars Kevin Bacon and Amanda Seyfried, and the young girl who plays her daughter. Basically, this is what it's about. Kevin Bacon's character is a little older than Amanda Seyfried, 20, 30 years. And he's married to her. She's an actress. She's a famous actress. He's rich. We come to find out that earlier in his life, his previous wife, before her, had somehow died, and he was accused of it, and there was this famous trial about it, and he was accused of being the murderer, and he got off with it, and people recognize him places, and he doesn't like it. Well, he and Amanda Seyfried's character, have a daughter, and they're having some issues, and they decide to go on a vacation. You know, if you're having some issues with your marriage, and the three of you want to go on vacation, where do you think you want to go? If you're thinking BFE Wales in England, then you think like these characters. If you're me, you want something tropical. Although I'd like to see Wales. So they end up in Wales at this strange house out in the country. Some lights are coming on. You open a door, there seems to be another door to another room. You open up a door, another room to another door. When he buys his groceries, the guy gives him like a protractor and says, "You'll be needing this." Just what you always look for in a horror film. Did I mention if you open the door, it goes to another room? Yeah, I think I did. He's kind of jealous of his actress wife. She's 30 years younger than him. He's having a hard time dealing with that because he's old. He thinks she may be cheating. He's not for sure. And then strange things happen in the house. He notices that this goes a little further over than it should, and that the house is actually bigger on the inside than it is on the out. My friend Mick Strom loves that movie, Dave Built a Maze. There's also The House That Leaves book. I read it by Daniel. I can't remember his name. Anyway, there's a lot of different things to deal with this, a lot of different movies to deal with this, I should say. Is this movie good? IMDb currently has it, International Movie Database, setting at a 5.3 out of 10. I'd say that's about accurate. It's fair to middling. I was watching it and I thought, it's kind of interesting, kind of not. Finally, there's a twist ending that you can kind of figure out a mile away. Is she cheating? Is she not cheating? What's going on? Did or did he not kill his wife? And then I find out it's written and directed by David Koepp. Now, you may not know who that is. Legendary, and by legendary, I mean wealthy screenwriter. He wrote Carlito's Way, Jurassic Park, Toy Soldiers, Panic Room, the first Spider-Man, Snake. I can just go on and on and on. But he's also directed a few movies that I liked. Stir of Echoes, which has Kevin Bacon. Secret Window, which has somebody named... Who is in Secret Window? Oh, yeah, Johnny Depp. Mordecai. Ghost Town. Ghost Town's a movie, actually, I recommend, but it's got Ricky Gervais, and it's not really a horror film. Secret Window, I'd recommend over this. Secret Window is based on a Stephen King novella. Can I recommend You Should Have Left? No. I'm sorry. It's not awful. It's just fair to middling. Catch it on Netflix, Amazon, wherever it is. It's right now, Meredith, currently at your Redbox. It went straight to basically Blu-ray, DVD, and streaming because of the COVID. This has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly. Thank you, Scarefest.
And welcome back everybody to Scarefest Television. Okay, I got to go. First of all, CC, you do better interview during the commercial than you do during the show. You ask these insightful questions that gets them
during the show, and on the commercials we just da 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 da.
Now the other thing is, why are you in your broom closet tonight?
Excuse me, this is my boudoir because we are interviewing a very sexy woman, so I wanted to try to be some sexy going on here.
Well, it sounds like a great walk.
So
thank you.
So that's how, if Cece was going to seduce women, she would take them to her closet.
And show them all my shoes.
They don't put that in the horse voice.
Work for me.
Thank you. See that?
Now, one confession I'll make is that pretty much Terrifier put you on my radar. Honestly, I was not familiar with your work before that. But, now, convention-wise, I'm sure Terrifier kind of brought you out to the convention scene. Were you on the scene before that, first of all?
I had done, because of Trauma, I had done a few Comic-Cons. In New York and then on the West Coast, but I did my first genre fest this past year, actually. I got offered, I think I just didn't know what to expect, and it never lined up schedule-wise, and then, we did, actually that's a lie, I did one with Trauma in New Jersey, but it was also a film festival, this, the first just pure con was this year, and it was unbelievable. I had such a blast. So I was hoping.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. The reason I approached this question that way, horror fans are a breed unto their own. Have you encountered... I'm a passive movie fan. I like movies. So, I don't dissect horror movies. Most of the horror fans that I hang around with, they probably remember your dialogue from the movie better than you did. Have you encountered those people yet?
Oh, yeah. I'm a horror fan, so I geek out over things, too. But, that's really cool when they, know things that I don't remember or things like that. I have a pretty good memory, though. I think, I can still go toe-to-toe. We'll see as move on, but...
Cece, you want to get a couple more in before we let her go?
Well, I think you should I think you need to bring out about this kombucha that you were drinking that we were talking about. About this?
I was drinking. I get every once in a while, different brand partnership opportunities and things, and I like brands that are, sustainable and healthy and conscious. And I got involved with this hard kombucha, and I'm already a vegan and a bit of a health nut, so there was that element. But it's delicious. It's like drinking that's good for you because it's got alcohol in it, but it's also kombucha, so it's good for your gut. It's called June Shine. It's delicious.
Tastes like rosé.
Oh, they do. They have a rosé one. Apparently, they have a matcha one. I've not tried that yet. So that's all three. It's like you get energized, you get a little bit of a buzz, and it's good for your gut. But the rosé one, I was like, this tastes like rosé. It's good for me, and it's got alcohol in it, and I was thrilled. I have no complaints. Not that I'm, a big drinker, but I have no complaints.
No, and of course you only drink the tequila for the probiotics.
Yes, that's what I told her off air, that I'm a big tequila girl. Like, I love tequila, and I tell myself and I tell everybody not to feel bad about it because it has probiotics, and it does.
Yes, it does.
I sometimes mix with orange juice. That's about as healthy as I get. But that actually brings a question that I forgot to write down. Are you the type of drunk that we saw in Terrifier?
I don't know. It depends, I think, on what I'm drinking. But I'm not, I don't know. I mean, I like to think I'm a fun drunk. When I was younger, I was a feisty drunk, so we had to be careful. But then I got into tequilas, and that's a different experience. It's a whole different Catherine.
I bet it's a fun Catherine.
I think it's a fun Catherine, too, but, within reason. Everything within safe, responsible reasoning.
Yes, I blow that out of the water every time. Everybody, we're here to sell tickets. Scarefest CyberCon. You can go to scarefest.artfarm.tv, or you just go to thescarefest.com. But get your tickets. Catherine Corcoran will be appearing that day in pink skin, not blood, but apparently in pink skin.
Well, I mean, maybe. We'll see how it rinses off. But yeah, I will be filming our scene right before, so I'll tell you all about it.
And this is your chance to meet her, get something signed by her. They got a whole thing. I don't even know how it all works yet. But the simple way is, she'll sign a picture, mail it to you. But we're working on a lot of things that can make this a lot more of a personal experience.
I think you can talk to people and meet them, right? I don't know. And there's panels and things.
We'll go inside baseball. For this con, we're not doing what everybody else is doing. Everybody else is basically doing a Zoom meeting or Facebook Live, and we've actually had a company create an entire platform to do this on. The drawback to that is the face-to-face video, the private video conference, will not be ready for this con. So basically, they will be able to see you, they will be able to speak to you via chat, but we could have rushed it and jacked it up like I did the show tonight because of fucking Windows Update. But we decided to hold that off for a future project. We will have it ready next time we do it. And as delightful as you are, I will campaign to get you back.
I'd love to come back. I'd absolutely love to come back. That means a lot.
And heck, I'm ready to offer you a co-host position. While you're not doing anything.
Yeah, you can't do that. Maybe we'll take over your show. You don't have to do the whole lineup.
I didn't mean in place of these. I just thought that I'd give you a chance to be a second-rate podcaster like me. Versus Scream Queen royalty. Everybody, this has been Scarefest Television. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but I think we ended up having a lot of fun tonight. Great interview. Great meeting you, Catherine, and I'm looking forward to getting all this behind us so I can actually meet you in person.
Thank you guys so much. I'm really looking forward to seeing you all too.
Bye, Catherine.
Bye, guys.
We'll see you next